Everybody, good afternoon, Tampa Bay. Here we are back at DuPont Registry, Tampa Bay International Headquarters, located just off of Ulmerton Drive, right here in the gateway area of Pinellas County. Midpoint for the Tri-County area, and I use Tri-County, either Pasco to the north or Manatee to the south, I don't care, but Hillsborough and Pinellas, obviously. We're delighted to have you back with us today for another dRTB what do we call this? Facebook Live. More than just a podcast, but an actual Facebook Live. So, as you know, in the past, we've had some interesting and stimulating guests. Well, today we have Jason Alpert with Alpert Enterprises, and what Jason does is auctioneering. Sell stuff.
I do.
To the highest bidder.
Right.
Jason also has a reputation in this community for taking care of charitable events. That's the one where you go to a charity, and the easiest thing that you could possibly bid on is a, shall we say, 8-month-old yellow Labrador puppy. Those people get excited about that. There may be something a little different when it's a piece of jade encased gold lapel pin. I mean, you must have seen everything. So
everything,
Jason, welcome.
Thank you for having me. You know, this is a really unique opportunity. There's not that many people who exclusively do what I do, and we'll certainly talk about that in a minute, but I love giving a chance to not only give some people some ideas about how to help raise money with the charities that they're involved in, but certainly let people know what I do.
So what is your primary business, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday?
Right, so that's it.
Auctioneer?
Yeah, I can't tell you how often I get done with a charity event, and I get done and I come off the stage and people look at me and said, "You were really great tonight. What do you do for a living?" And I'm like, "You just watched it for the past 90 minutes." But ultimately, what makes me a little different than most people who do what I do, kind of like you just mentioned, how we take care of the charities. I only do charity fundraisers, right?
Really?
That's the only type of auctions that we do. And ultimately, we are, if you ask me what I do for a living, well, if you give me 2 seconds to answer you, as a live auctioneer. If you take a little extra time, being a live auctioneer is really third on the list of things that I am. First and foremost, we are fundraising and event consultants, right? So we work with the charities for sometimes up to a year preparing for their event.
Sure.
And that's really what kind of makes us and differentiates us from other auctioneers, whether they do charities or any other type of sales, is that we're really consultants as much as auctioneers.
So you're consulting with charities on how to raise money to have fun and do good at the same time.
Yeah, because ultimately there's a statistic that says that 90% of a room at a charity fundraiser does not bid in a live auction. So what I need to do is I need to make sure that the 10% that are bidding are bidding high and bidding often, and the 90% that aren't bidding are at least paying attention and captivated by the show and by the program. We want to make sure we put on an auction show.
And you get everybody applauding when the bidders start going against each other, and that excites them even more.
Of course, the egos are a big thing involved here.
I've been to countless numbers of automobile auctions. And big ones,
yeah, sure.
Where the cars are going for 10 or 12 or 15 or $20 million. The big ones, the rest of them are all 100,000, just past, just another collectible put in your garage. But they're exciting, especially when the crowd gets involved. And the highlight of the auctions, Barrett Jackson is a client of the car magazine, DuPont Registry, and we support them. And every year, every event they have a charity car for some charitable benefit, and 100% of the proceeds from Barrett Jackson go to the charity. And when they auction it off, I've watched them auction off, a brand new Supra. Toyota introduced the Supra again this year, and I think it's less than $100,000 for the base model. $1 million plus, $1 million plus. These are people who want to help charity and like cars. That's a target that oh my goodness, you should see them spend the money.
It's a great combination, and we find that not only trying to tie that mission into what you're selling, what you're trying to raise money for the live auction portion of it, but then at these charity events, really the part of the auction program that makes the most money is not when we're selling anything necessarily, right? It's after that part where we say, listen, for those of you who bid in the live auction and didn't win, we have one more opportunity for you to give. For those of you who haven't seen anything all night long, whether it be the live auction, the silent auction, the raffles, you couldn't sponsor for whatever reason. Some of you maybe here as a guest of somebody else's, you're here for free and you want to give and haven't had the chance. We've got a part of the program called the Bid from the Heart. And in the Bid from the Heart, all they do is we come out and we say, here's our mission, give us your money. Right? Now, we never say it that way, but in essence, that's what you do. And then we say, who wants to donate? And we just throw out some numbers. And again, there's some formulas to why and how we ask for what we ask for. But I've done some events where we've organically received a donation for $100,000 just to raise their paddle and make that donation.
Wow. Wow.
So that's the part of the program really where the most of the money can be generated, but it's all set up by.
Second, I don't know if the people watching could hear that, but we're on live on a cell phone that took a call.
Thank you.
But we'll ignore that. So we're still active here, and we're delighted to have you with us. Now, how many of these charity auctions do you do every year?
Last year we did, listen, the problem is when I say this number, the groups who I work with, I want them all to think I work with one.
Absolutely.
Right. So if I currently work with you, don't listen to this part of it. But last year I personally did 92 events.
92
Right,
events.
right. Well, which is a lot, but we really do put a lot of focus and a lot of attention on each particular group. There's 2 other auctioneers who I work with, so you know we try to service as many as we can. Our calendar is our biggest challenge. As soon as we're booked up on a night, we can't work for anybody else.
Absolutely. I understand completely.
Yep.
Well, and I've seen you in action at some of these charity auctions, and it's a sight to behold. Because even though you didn't think you were going to buy something, all of a sudden it sounds a little inexpensive, and the minute you raise your hand, you got me hooked. You're not going to let me go until I'm exhausted financially. So let's cover some interesting stuff. Well, you have to have. What's the weirdest thing you ever auctioned off? You have to have something that you just never believed that they would put this up to try and raise money for a charity.
Right.
And you don't have to embarrass this.
Right. I don't know if it's embarrassed. I mean, there's so many times that we, in essence, sell air, right? Where you're not selling anything. We have sold before. There are some events that we go to that we know that the least favorite part of the whole night is the valet line at checkout, right? At the end of the event. So you know what we do? Is we auction off valet fast passes.
Wow.
Just like at Disney World where you jump to the front of the line. You're going to make a note of that?
Make a note of that. Valet
Right.
Fast Pass.
And we've sold them for up to $1,000 before. And that's free money for the charity because you've let somebody jump a line for valet. So those are the type of things that.
Wow, that's a great one. I got to remember that one.
Right.
I got to remember that one's like a seat at the front table next year's event.
Yeah, we've done that too.
And how about the proverbial parking pass, parking lot reservation, reserved spot at the school or the church or whatever?
Yeah, I mean we've sold those for $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 before.
Oh my gosh!
Oftentimes people know what they're going to spend when they come to an event. They have in their mind about what they want to spend, right? It's our job as a charity and as the fundraising consultant. How are we going to get it from them?
Just extract that money.
Right. What are we going to put in front of them to give them a chance to raise their paddle and give it?
In most cases, what you're doing is raising money to help others. So I'm going to give you the term that we use here when we work charity events and try to help sponsor them and try to report on them. And we report on them in the back page of our magazine every other month. We talk about it, having fun while helping others. Because auctions are fun.
Yeah.
They are really fun. And sometimes when you get guys really excited, they're really fun. So let's talk about just most expensive items, just unusually expensive watches.
Right. You know, we have found that jewelry, whether it be watches or actual jewels, if you will, don't typically sell for the retail value or more in these auctions, right? So listen, have I sold pieces of jewelry for $15,000, $20,000, $25,000? Yes. Most of the time they're valued at $25,000, $30,000, $35,000. Because most people know that with jewelry specifically, you walk into a jewelry store, the retail price is not what you're paying anyway. So if they're trying to figure out what they can pay outside of it. So what we sell, what we make the most money on are the things that you can't buy anywhere else, right? So I did an auction back in January and they had a country music singer there, a star. He got a #1 hit, his name's Cole Swindell. And what they got Cole Swindell to agree to do was his guitar player and maybe one other musician agreed on, I would say on their dime, I don't know whose dime, but not the auction winner's dime, was going to come to wherever the auction winner wanted them to come to. Again, this is a guy who's playing 20,000 seat arenas. They wanted to come to where the auction winner wanted to come to, play a private concert for them, whether it be the Sweet 16 of their daughter, whether it be an anniversary party, whether it be college graduation, whatever it is.
That's something you can't buy.
And do a private concert, right? And
you can't buy that.
You cannot. And it sold for $105,000.
Wow.
Right.
Boy, lucky Sweet 16.
That's not a bad party to have, right?
So, events like that. What about trips? So, do you do a lot of trips, like 4 days, 3 nights, 3 nights, 4 days, Paris, London?
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, trips are, in general, what sells the best. And I believe that is because people have a vacation budget. They know what they're going to spend, maybe even over the year, and it goes back to, why not give them an opportunity to buy this trip at a charity event, support a charity that they want to, and get their trip out of it, right?
Absolutely.
So I work very hard with the groups that I'm a part of. Don't leave it up to me to pick out what the best trip is for your group, right? I want you to take it to your committee, take it to your board of directors, and say, where do y'all want to go? Now, once you tell us where you want to go, now it's on me and the rest of the group to find out how we go and get it.
And you get a whole bunch of people on the board that say, geez, I really want to go to Africa on a safari. You got built-in bidders.
Oh, you do, right?
Yeah,
and that's
right.
half the battle, right?
Yeah.
I rarely, if ever, like most people, I hate to say always or never, right? But I never bring up an auction item that I'm concerned if it's going to sell or not, right? Like there are some auto auctions, there's some real estate auctions, there's some art auctions where they may have lots of cars, lots of pieces of art that are going to go, we're going to have to pass on that because it didn't get whatever the reserve is. When we do auctions, we want to make sure that we know in that room there are people prepared to bid on every item that we have, because nothing takes a sale out of a charity fundraising auction more than having to pass on an item.
Yeah, it just empties the room.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Everybody gets.
So we have a formula for how we build up, how we crescendo through our auction items that all lead up to that bid from the heart with that free money.
Okay, so how many items at an evening would be the norm for somebody to offer up for?
Yeah, I mean, we
Live
really
auction.
try to stick between 3 and 8 or 9.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, auction fatigue sets in, right? And these are not people who come to an auto auction for the auto auction, right? These are not people who come unless
The auto auction, they do 1,200 cars.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. But there are people there who are there just for that. These people aren't really coming to an auction. They're coming to a gala party, right? They've got the band is going to play. They've got their CEO of the organization is going to speak, whatever it may be. There's other parts of the program. We just want to take our 40 minutes to go in there, do our 3 or 4 or 5 live auction items, do our bid from the heart, raise the money, let them have the rest of their party.
And how long have you been doing this?
Exclusively full-time for about 8 years.
8 years.
Yeah. And I know it's 8 years because
Excuse me.
that's okay. I have an 8-year-old daughter, and 3 months before she was born, I sat down with my wife and I said, you know what, I think I'm gonna do this full-time. And I picked my 6-week pregnant wife off the floor and put her back in the chair. And we came up with a plan.
She should have been delighted. Didn't it means you knew when you were going to be home to be able to handle
Most
take
of
care
the time.
of
Most
the
of the
child.
time.
Absolutely.
Right. But we actually, she just turned 8, so our company full
Here I
time
am,
just
coffee.
turned 8
You
as
need
well.
some water. Auctioneers always need a little
It's
water.
always nearby.
Always nearby, so you can keep the words going. So that many auctions, 3 to 8 things a night. Tell me something, the most expensive one you've ever sold.
Right. I mean, we've
up there, not the most expensive.
Right. I mean, ultimately, we haven't done. I've done $1 million bid from the heart before, right? Again, where we're making $1 million that way. For our auction items, if we do a $100,000 item, it's a really special night, right? So if we have that Cole Swindell is one. We've done. I did a 125-foot yacht for 6 nights. 6 staterooms, going to the Caribbean, and I think that was 125, 150. Which I think, relatively speaking, that's a pretty good deal when it comes down to it.
Relatively speaking,
Right,
that is a good deal.
right.
That's a $250,000 deal, yeah.
So that's probably up there somewhere. But my better stories are not what sells for the most, but the things that I've sold a stuffed animal before for $3,500, right? And that goes back to, again, we've tied the mission in a little bit. We've gotten people going on it, and once it's part of the show, they're no longer bidding on the stuffed animal, right? They're bidding on raise money for the organization.
Exactly, and I can tell you, I got inspired one time, actually lost out. It was a terrible evening for me because I lost out. General Schwarzkopf, and you remember his theme was he's a teddy bear. So we had a teddy bear for a charity, all dressed up in camouflage, and you could get, it was signed, there was a card, and it was signed on his jacket by Schwarzkopf. And I wanted to have that, and so did somebody else. And I thought anything over $3,000 was dumb.
Right.
I learned that anything over $5,000 was maybe not really smart at all.
Right.
When it was $7,500, I decided I'd had too much.
Tap out, right?
And I think the bear sold for like around $9,000.
It's unbelievable.
There were 3 of us just intense on it.
Yeah.
And happily, some mother wanted to have that bear for their child. And
Right.
I lost. I would like to have the bear.
Yeah, but think about this, like what would have been a great thing to include with that? I don't know what the organization was or what they raised money for, but and depending on what the connection was with General Schwarzkopf, it might have been none, they might have just got the bear somewhere, but if they had a direct connection, what if they would have included with that bear that after the auction, General Schwarzkopf was going to call the winner and thank them for bidding on and helping support the cause, right? So those are the type of things that...
Or better than that, how about he would call and book a tour of McDill?
Now we're talking.
Now we're talking.
Right.
Yeah, that wouldn't have seemed so expensive.
Right. But those are the things that are the high perceived value, right?
Sure.
You can't put a price tag on that. And those are the type of things that certainly we can keep bidding up.
All of your customers are, by and large, Pinellas County, Hillsborough County?
No. When I started the company, I was living down in Miami. So a huge chunk is down in Miami. But at this point, we travel everywhere and anywhere. So I travel over the country. When I've open dates, I'll go around the country and do this.
Really?
You know, a lot of people don't realize that being an auctioneer is a licensed profession, right? In the auto auction, the charity auction, any auctioneering that you do, it's the same license, which is crazy because I know what a car title has to look like to go up on the auction block. I know what shots cattle has to have before they can go up on the auction block. But at the end of the day, it's all the same license. They're usually state by state. So if I get asked to go to another state, we just got to figure out what the licensing requirements are, but I'll travel wherever I need to.
Did you go to school to learn how to auction?
I did, and it's a lot more than people realize, right?
I'm sure it is.
But it should be as easy, right? There's all these online courses, but this was an 80-hour course where you had to sit in a classroom for 80 hours. After 80 hours, right? And it's currently only offered 2 places in the state of Florida, so it's not even easy to get to. But I did it, and you take your state test after that. You pay every 2 years your licensing fee, and apparently I'm an auctioneer.
So item number 1 is when you're doing an auction, make sure you use a licensed auctioneer.
Yeah.
Because those are the guys who know how to do it. They're professionals. They know how to pull the money out of the bidders. Yeah. Which is a good idea if you're the seller, is also a good idea if you're the charity, if you're doing something for actual commercial purposes.
Yeah. And that's one thing as an auctioneer that we try to talk to the people who are hiring us often about it. And I'll tell you the caveat with charity auctions, and that's why I don't want anyone to get all concerned when they see this or hear this. If you're not getting paid to do a charity auction, you don't have to be licensed to do it.
You don't have to.
You do not. So all the local newscasters or whoever it is out there who's calling live auctions at charity events, if you're not getting paid, it's fine.
Okay.
If you're getting paid just with your license.
Good. I'm not in trouble.
You're not if you've called it before, right?
I've called a couple of auctions,
right.
But I can tell you I'm not good at it.
Right. But what we try to explain to the groups is that it's not about our fee. And I say that, and I know everyone's out there, of course, about the fee, right? Because in our budget, we have a line for your fee. At the end of the day, as long as we can generate you at least $1 more than our fee is to be there versus getting somebody to do it for free, then it makes sense to use us. We work with some events where we might raise $10,000 or $15,000 in the whole night. We work some events where we raise $1.5 million in the night.
Really?
Right? We charge the same thing for both groups. We don't charge a percentage because we believe that we're putting the same amount of time and effort into both of those events.
Sure.
So as long as we can generate you $1 more than our fee is to be there, then it makes sense for us to work with it.
So do you use like a local person or somebody connected to the charity to do some color work to introduce each item, or you just do it yourself?
Usually it's just myself. If I talk to the group and they think there's great value in having somebody else there, most of the time, especially in this community in Tampa Bay, I know a lot of the donors and the bidders in the room. But if it's a new group and they think that there's some value to having somebody up there with me to kind of acknowledge and call people out by name, I'll work with them that way. But most of the time, from a pacing and cadence perspective, I don't want somebody to slow me down.
Right. How long is there an average for the amount of time an item takes?
Yeah, I mean, we take 2.5 minutes to 4.5 minutes per item, right? At 2.5 minutes, it's really pretty quick. I'm reading the description, I'm pointing at some people, I'm calling the bid, we're saying sold. At 4.5 minutes, we can really have some fun. We play some music leading into the auction item. We might have a video clip to help introduce it. We might have people planted in the crowd who are going to have scripted and rehearsed lines. Again, this all goes back to putting on the auction show, right?
The show, sure.
Right. It may be listed in the program as a dinner for 8, right? And we start auctioning off the dinner for 8. Once we start to slow down, I call out the chef or the owner of the restaurant who's in the room. I make it look like I'm twisting their arm because we all know behind the scenes that it's a dinner for 12, right? But you can't do that in 2.5 minutes. So if you can give me 4.5 minutes per item, we can put on a great show and raise a lot more money.
Okay, tell me this about the second time. Somebody auctions off a dinner trip on their boat. I've been the victim there sometimes.
Yes. Victor, winner. Not victim, a winner.
No, I've been the victim because I've been doing the dinner trip.
Oh, right, got it.
The winner has been somebody who's come on the boat for dinner.
Got it.
So they get to the end of it and they sort of peaked out at like $3,000, and I'm of course prearranged. I get the nod from the auctioneer, says, okay. The last guy dropped out $2,900. The guy's final $3,000. Before I award the $3,000, how about if we drop it back to $2,900? I sell it twice. And the guy who bid $2,900 goes, "Yeah, I'll take it." And the other guy says, "Yeah, I just saved $100. Right. Yeah, I'll take it." And so now we've raised 2 times $2,900 rather than one at $3,000. Everybody feels good except for me because I got to do 2 boat trips, which I don't mind. We've had a lot of fun doing it. A lot of fun supporting ARC. And doing those in the past, taking a break this year, I might add, so that we don't have to pursue that. So, but what a great way to get an unusual and unique experience. Couldn't buy anyplace else. Not selling trips on the boat for dinner against the law. I'd have to collect sales tax.
Right.
But happy to do it, and there's a lot of people that will do wine tasting, dinner experiences in their home, and there's some fabulous homes to do it around here. Maybe we could get get some of the big homeowners to donate a dinner in their house next time you're on the hook for an auction. So, any auctions, any events coming up in the future? You want to give us a little on no cost clue about?
Sure. So this Friday night, which is the 26th, at the Vinoy, we are doing the Heels to Heel fashion show. And so in the middle of their fashion show, we'll have a live auction, and that is sexual and domestic violence awareness. Mm-hmm. So we will work with them this Friday night. And then in this community, I believe after that, we go May 3rd, we are with the Peyton Wright Foundation down at Longboat Key Club in Sarasota. Mm-hmm. May 4th, we are the 11th, I know we were All Children's Hospital. I'm running through all these in my head real quick, right?
Sure.
We're All Children's Hospital. We're doing some things with Tampa General Hospital as well on the 11th. The 18th, we're with the Florida Medical Center, so we do some things with them. So got a full schedule lined up.
Absolutely. So anything you know of ahead of time is going to be auctioned off at Heels to Heel?
Right. Heels to Heel, we've got a trip to St. Martin. Beautiful 3-bedroom villa, penthouse villa there in St. Martin. They're also doing a home in Colorado. I stay at a home, not a full home. They've got a cool thing too, which is kind of neat. They have 5 boutiques who are all part of their, and I want to cut myself off. May 5th is the Lift Academy Gala. That was one I couldn't remember. So Lift Academy is another great one. That's at the Coliseum. But at Heels to Heel, there are 5 boutiques, 5 local boutiques who are in their fashion show. And each one of the boutiques has come together and put together a massive package that basically says this. All 5 of them have donated a $500 shopping spree. But with that shopping spree comes a shopping party at their boutique. So the auction winner will bring 12 of their friends, or 11 friends, right, to the boutique and have champagne, some appetizers, and the shopping spree while they're there. And that's really something where the vendors who have come in to put on the fashion show have really helped raise money for the organization as well. So that'll be a good auction item too.
So local experience too. I would gather the local experiences are probably really enthusiastically bid on.
Yeah, they're easy, right? We want to do things that are easy for people to bid on and to utilize.
Right. The complex trip where you have to take 7 different airplanes to get to someplace in remote Alaska, you're narrowing your field of enthusiasts who are going to choose that. Where probably pretty much if you have a couple hundred people in the audience and you're offering a free shopping spree and a discounted spree event at a boutique, right. On the basis that they're couples there, at least half of them are going to want to bid on that.
Right. And I'll tell you, when we talk about the number of people who could bid at an event, we don't talk about the total attendees at an event, right? We talk about bidding units. Right? And ultimately, a bidding unit is how many families' pockets do we have to get into?
Sure.
So if there's a 300-person event, we've got 150 bidding units from which to work with. And when we do our final numbers at the end of the event, what I want to know is how much money did we make per bidding unit?
Per bidding unit.
And that's how we can decide whether it's a successful event or not versus another year. Because if you give me 100 extra people in the room, I can usually raise you more money. But is it a more successful event just because we raise more money if we're doing less per bidding unit?
Yeah. So bidding units. So that means you rarely have husband bidding against wife.
Yeah, it's really funny when we do, though. It happens.
Because they don't know.
Either
they sit on the other side
sometimes of the room? They know, and that's even more funny. But more often than not, they don't know. And they each have a paddle, and they each going at it.
So give me one more before we have to close up here. One more really unusual item that you've sold. Actual physical thing. Jewelry or a watch or a clock.
Yeah,
painting.
I work with a group, DACO, which is drug abuse and behavior analysts out in Tampa. And what they do is they have a partnership with the Hillsborough Sheriff's Office.
Sure.
And what they get, their name of their event is A Night of 1,000 Thieves. And what they do is, besides having some great themed things to decor-wise, is they get items from the Sheriff's Office that have been confiscated during criminal activities. And these things now become part of the auction.
Absolutely. Some motor scooter, bicycle.
A lot of jewelry, really unique jewelry that you would not think you would want, but when you know that there's a story behind it, and even if we don't know the exact story, it's just the fact that this was a confiscated item. And
maybe you can extrapolate a little bit.
Yeah.
Like this was stolen in the middle of the night, some city that we don't know where.
We do not let the facts get in the way of a good story.
Right?
So we will make sure.
There's an organization here in Pinellas County, too, with the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office that takes care of charity auction. It's called Poetic Justice.
All right. Yeah.
And that's where they make money from the things that people are in jail for stealing.
Right.
And the Poetic Justice is there. So you should look that one up on the calendar, Poetic Justice. I'm sure there's a .com in there. I don't know when their auction is or when they just had it, but they have a dinner. And I remember years ago they auctioned off a well-used automobile that
Right.
belonged to the guy that went in the slammer.
Yeah.
And was used to facilitate the robbery. And I think it was like a Lincoln Mercury LN7 that was probably worth $1,500. Had a bunch of miles on it. The tires were bald, but somebody had to have that as a car. Maybe they were going to put it a weekend home or something like that. Put new tires on it and see if it would work. And I think they paid like $8,000 or $9,000 for a car that couldn't have been worth $1,500.
Right. It's perceived value.
It was rusty too.
Right.
Yeah, so.
But listen, you mentioned poetic justice. I mean, I will tell you, as much as I sit here and say that we might have done 92 events last year, at the end of the day, there are 2.1 million not-for-profits in this country, right? There are hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of them in the Tampa, Orlando, Sarasota area, right? I mean, there are so many great groups that I've never had a chance to touch, right? And certainly I would love to provide whatever service to them. But I go back to the fact that I want other auctioneers and I want this charity fundraising business to be successful. The more successful the business is as a whole, the better it is for everyone involved in it.
I'm on the board of WEDU, and WEDU once a year does a luncheon activity, and they get categories of charities, large, medium, and small, and different efforts to promote whatever charitable enterprise it is. And you send in a summary of your charity and what you do, and they have judges who go through the list, and then they select a winner in each one. There's like 11, and that's 11. There's a minimum of 2 and maybe a maximum of 5 or 6 in each category. So you're talking 60 charities that have been nominated to receive an award, and then one winner.
Yeah.
And each of those charities sustains itself on somebody being enthusiastically supporting them, usually a small group, but then a larger group, depending on how big they are, and what they do. So you're talking about people going out and having fun, helping each other, and then the WEDU Be More Awards recognizes those charities for the work that they do. Yeah. And it's a wonderful way to see the efforts of individual charities, but also to understand the enormous amount of philanthropy and charitable work that this community does. If there are 2.1 million in the United States, I'll bet Pinellas County and Hillsborough County have one of the highest concentrations of charity organizations that take care of those in need in one way or another. This is a remarkable place to live, ladies and gentlemen, in case you didn't realize that, but I realize you know that. So you've got the list of events to go to. We'll see you at Heels to Heal this weekend, maybe. If you are going, don't forget your credit card. Probably.
Credit is important, yes.
And what's the thing you swipe through your credit card ahead of time when you're going to spend the money? Q card, whatever, Q Core,
Q-Give, something
Q
like
Give,
that. Whatever. Just make sure you come ready to spend.
That's right. Bring your credit card. You bring a check too. They'll take checks, and take home an unusual gift, knowing that you spent money to help a charity, and also knowing that you spent the evening with Jason and had a terrific time. And remember, he says only 8 to maybe 12, 14 items at the most, so you're not talking 60 items. That can tire the crowd out. Yeah. Most of the bidding is going to take place after dinner, so after you've had some cocktails or anything, a little glass of wine to loosen up those purse strings. Jason, been great to talk to you.
This has been fun.
Thank you for what you do for our community and helping those who are helping others, and also having fun while helping others. That's the motto of the back page. That's the motto of what we deal in every day at the DuPont Registry Tampa Bay when we talk about those in need. Everything from the homeless to individual women's charities, to be ladies of abuse, to trafficking, you name it. It's important to take people in the community and reach out and lend them a hand.
Yep, I agree. Well, one of my favorite sayings is the little things are the big things, right? And if we really focus on those little things, we're not only going to run great events, but support great causes and help lots of people.
And every penny is worth spending. So thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us again today. It's we run a little past our time, but we started a few minutes late. We're delighted to have you with us, and we look forward to seeing you next Tuesday at 1 o'clock or thereabouts for another dRTB Live, DuPont Registry Tampa Bay Live, right here in central Pinellas County, in the middle, the epicenter of commerce for the area. Jason Alpert, Alpert Enterprises, our guest today, an auctioneer for charity for good causes. So remember that when you're looking for it next time. Thanks very much. Go out and have a great day, Tampa Bay.